Hi. Last night, I finally finished Amazon's Fallout show, and I want to talk about it. I felt compelled to talk about it, and I used to do this in 5-Minute Gaming News before YouTube told me 5 minutes wasn't enough for the algorithm, which is a whole other thing. So while you might not get that, you get this, which hopefully is good enough, because in the past, I've had lots of thoughts on Edgerunners and Arcane, Last of Us, Halo, and now I have thoughts on Fallout. So right at the top, to just get it out of the way, I like this show a lot. And it's not just because I'm a Walton Goggins fan and watching him chew up every single scene he was in was a pleasure, but also just because I'm a Fallout fan. And it was nice to see something that represented the game so well. Admittedly, I didn't play Fallout 76, but I'm fine with that choice. But I did play the original back in like 97, 98, whenever the hell that came out, and Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Hell, I even played Fallout Shelter till I realized I hate mobile games. As a viewer and enjoyer, I have thoughts. As a fan, I have thoughts, and we'll get to all that, but I think my big takeaway is that Fallout did the exact same thing that Arcane did, that Edgerunners did, to some extent Last of Us did, which is make people want to engage with the property more. After watching it, even during watching it, it made me want to play the game. And that is, I think, the goal of all these expanded universe properties in the realm of TV or movie, to get people inspired to check out what it is and go play for themselves. And Fallout nails that. It captures the essence of what Fallout is so well. It makes people want to experience that, to learn more about the lore, the factions, the world itself. And a great example, as you can see right now, Fallout 76 is blowing up again. People want to play that and experience it, or just live in the moment for a little bit because they don't want the show to end for them, really, you know? And what's great about the Fallout show, which I think maybe even better than Arcane or Edgerunners or Last of Us, is it so completely captures the experience of being in the Fallout universe that it's really easy to jump in, right? Like Arcane is, wow, what a cool story, great characters, I gotta play a MOBA, but Fallout captures that completely. Also, real quick side note, can we just talk about how Ella Purnell is just out there dominating the video game TV scene? Did you know she was Jinx in Arcane? That blew my mind. Her performance, along with Aaron Moten and of course my main man Goggins, really hammered home exactly what the show is. It's not a good guy story. It's not a this is the hero tale. It's a messed up post-apocalypse where someone put Kyle MacLachlan in charge and Matt Berry is a machine.
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
It's a show where incest is played for laughs and body parts are optional. Speaking of that, I'm loving the discourse online about the sexuality and incest in the show because, first off, if you're upset about all that but fine with the exploding heads and shattered body parts and violence, hello, my American brothers and sisters. It's a problem we have. But I really wanted to talk about, and I know this is going to sound crazy, the incest parts, because I think it was really smart to include that in the show. Lucy McClane, which, by the way, Lucy McClane is the name of John McClane's daughter in the Die Hard franchise, so just put that in your pipe and smoke it. But when Lucy is so cavalier with sex, or says stuff like, you know, getting it on with your cousin's fine, but when you're gonna get married and have kids, it needs to be someone else because, you know, we're trying to save humanity and that kind of thing. When she says stuff like that, it really quickly, without holding hands, without telling you, it establishes the breakdown of cultural norms. If the people living in the vaults, the baseline of humanity, the good ones, are breaking taboos, what the hell is going on the surface? And that's what this show nails so well. It's the apocalypse. It's terrible. It's horrible, but also kind of played for laughs, kind of not serious. And that is what Fallout is. It doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't over-explain. If you watch it and you pay attention, you will understand things that are happening on the show. Radiation sickness, Radaway. Hurt, Stimpak. How do ghouls work? Well, if you watch long enough, you'll understand, basically. Even the giant Brotherhood bag is a great gag and a funny goof, but also expresses something from the game, over encumbrance. It is a hilarious bit in the show, but if you were to go play the game, you would get it immediately, like, oh my god, I get why the bags are so big. The whole thing is a treat. It's got so much for new people, for old-time fans with little Easter eggs, potentially a retcon or two, and we'll get to that. But unlike, say, Halo, which I don't want to dogpile on Halo, but speaking of dog piles, it's just so obvious that it was created without an ounce of love for the original source material, and the writers clearly wanted to tell their own tale, and yeah, it's not great. It's not great. They try to do something different, and different isn't always better. However, if you're gonna do different, don't do different with a story we already know. Give us something new, something fresh that's in the world that captures the essence of it. It's a huge problem with video game properties that they turn into TV shows or movies, where they're always trying to like recreate the plot of a game, when the best thing you could do, much like Fallout or Edge Runners, is tell us a new story set in that world so we get the vibe of it, and then we can go experience our own story. One of the things that I've always said, and it's the biggest problem with the World of Warcraft movie, is that it should have been a small party tale where it's like a human and an elf, and then they meet up with an orc and, I don't know, someone else, and they're like, oh, I guess we have to team up now and we have to fight some big evil thing, and it's set in the world of WoW, but it isn't just a retelling of Warcraft 1, which is what they did, and it's not as good as what it could have been. It's a huge problem that I think a lot of producers and writers and dev teams and, you know, production teams get caught up in, is trying to recapture a story that was already told. Don't do that. Cut that shit out. Fallout nails this idea that you can tell a story in your universe without it just being something you've told already, but also at the same time giving people a better understanding of the game. I saw a post on Reddit by Angry Pringle. I'm going to give them all the credit in the world because I did not notice this, but I love this little fact. If you watch the show, at any point in time, Lucy has at least one companion, or dogmeat. Dogmeat does not count as a companion, but at least one companion. And even though there's multiple characters, they all shift. She is never with more than one person at a time. It is such a good, like, nod to the franchise, and expectation maker as well. And I did not notice that at all. I think that's really cool. Go look that post up. Actually, I'll just link it down below. So I guess this is the part of the video where I should talk about retcon things and all the internet discourse that's going on with them, and kind of give you my take. And that's what I'm going to try and do. So let's talk New California Republic and Shady Sands, or the fall of Shady Sands. On the blackboard in the schoolroom of the vault, there's kind of a timeline, and it appears to retcon the timeline of the actual game. We see kind of a history of the New California Republic and the rise and fall of Shady Sands, with this arrow pointing to a nuclear explosion. And this got fans talking online, which I get because as a 15-year veteran of World of Warcraft, I left because I was tired of all the retconning they were doing. But in this case, my assumption while watching the show is that they were saying after the fall, there was a nuke, hence the arrow. I didn't really think about this all that much until I saw people posting online, and then my obsessive brain went down a rabbit hole. So timeline-wise, Fallout 3 is 2277, New Vegas is 2281, and then the TV show is 2296. So then my assumption was that the explosion and decimation of Shady Sands was after the fall, but then I looked online, like I said, and now I'm totally confused, and I'm going to try and explain to you all the things that I think I understand now, but it is kind of amorphous. So the flashback scene that we see of young Maximus at the nuking of Shady Sands, it was in 2077? If that was in 2077, then Maximus is like 26? I don't know. I'm not sure how squires work in the Brotherhood, but I imagine that seems pretty old. So I guess maybe it's possible that Maximus survived in, say, like 2282, making that after New Vegas, which would keep the lore intact. But then Lucy mentions that her mom was killed in the Plague of 77 in episode 4, and we know she knew her mom for a few years. As we learn, Hank destroys Shady Sands because of his wife and her mom's actions. And I guess potentially Hank could have futzed with her knowledge of the timeline, and that's why it's a little off. So if she's around Maximus's age, then 2077 would be correct. Honestly, this is a thing that did not bother me at all until I deep dived. And I get why the community is like, hold up, what? because I understand the passion and the commitment of people to this universe, this world. They love it so much that small things like this that make you question everything are kind of annoying. I don't think people are like furious and upset. They're just like, we would love an answer. And I'm with them, honestly, because the more I research, the more I'm like, well, what does that mean? Hopefully we'll get our answers in season 2, especially for that last shot of the show. But to be clear, the show is great. And if the biggest concern the fan base has is dates, that is a sign of passionate loyalty to a franchise, and not people complaining, not people hating on the show, just people wanting more answers, wanting to feel like their investment paid off. We all know when a video game-based TV show or movie sucks. This ain't it. This was great. So I say let the fans theorycraft. Let fans deep dive, get more invested, more involved. And then the best thing the producers could do is reward them for this and give them more answers and explain things better in season 2. But again, keep doing what you're doing. Don't be like, here is what happened, right? Just give us some hints. We'll figure it out. Anyway, that's kind of my thoughts. I love the mystery and the little hooks they have to keep you guessing what's going to happen between each episode. I know a lot of people were like, man, I wish this show came out every week. And I have a lot of friends who feel the exact same way. I'm not really one of them. Sometimes I'd watch 3 episodes in a night. Sometimes I'd watch only 1, and that's fine, right? Like, I have time to watch when I want to watch. And some people want to just plow through it. Great on them. It makes this whole content creation thing a little more difficult, but like, that's such a niche thing that I'm not too concerned. Anyway, that's it. That's it for me. Let me know your thoughts, any comments, any things that you really loved, any things you were like, not a fan of that. Let me know. What did you think of the portrayal of the Brotherhood, or of Philly, or of my boy the Ghoul, or just anything else, right? The NCR. What's your vibe with that? What do you think is going on there? Do you think it was just like they changed things to change it? Let me know down below, and I will see you all next time.